Hey, if you're a bourbon drinker, but you're getting a little bit of bourbon fatigue, here are some great pours that will help you step out of your comfort zone with a high degree of comfort. The first are Armagnacs. Armagnacs come from France. This Delord Basse Armagnac is 25 years old. Starts out as a dry white wine that is then distilled and aged in French oak barrels. And that's the thing about Armagnac that I think makes it a parallel to what bourbon drinkers like. Because it's aged in oak, you're still going to pick up some of those familiar flavors. There'll be some cinnamon, there'll be that nice oak flavor, there'll be some vanillas, in addition to some other things that you don't typically get in bourbon, like raisin and plum and things like that. This Delord Basse Armagnac can be typically found for less than $100, and I'll tell you, you'd be hard pressed to find a 25-year-old spirit at that price point. I think these are really good. So give Armagnac a try. They typically run lower proof. This is 40 proof. It makes them a nice, easy, enjoyable sip with a lot of flavor, but there's still going to be some notes there that as a bourbon drinker that will be familiar to you, and I think that these are delicious. Always have a bottle on hand, either for myself or sometimes for friends that come over that are not bourbon drinkers. It's a great after dinner drink. It's great on a cold night. Basse Armagnac. This Delord Basse Armagnac. And again, this one is from Delord. It's absolutely delicious. That's number one. Number two are Añejo tequila. So Añejo means aged. And this Fortaleza Añejo is really, really delicious. First of all, Fortaleza tequilas are completely additive free. They are made the old-fashioned way, so you're really getting an authentic product. But what does aging mean? Just like the Armagnac and just like bourbon, these are also aged in oak for a variety of times. This is typically aged for about a year to a year and a half, and that's why it's got this color. You typically, a Blanco tequila is going to be bottled right off the still, and it's going to have a clear color. So it picks up the color, again, just like a bourbon, it picks up this color from the barrels. In addition to those nice, I happen to like tequila, especially stuff like this that's additive free. In addition to those nice like citrus, I always get kind of like a lime flavor for that cooked agave. You're still going to get the vanillas and the caramels, and that barrel aging just tends to tone down some of that tequila flavor that maybe for some bourbon drinkers is a little bit too much. So it kind of softens the drink. It's absolutely delicious. Reposado would be another way to go. Reposado means rested. You'll notice that reposados typically are not as dark as the añejos. Something like Cascanes Reposado is delicious. That will also pick up some of that sweetness from the agave along with the vanillas and the caramels. So this is Fortaleza. Check it out. The third way to go, right here from the United States, are American single malts. Now, less than a year ago, American single malts actually became an official category. And American single malts they're not Scotch. To be Scotch, it has a Scotch needs to meet many requirements. Has to be made in Scotland along with other manufacturing requirements. So American single malts are not Scotch because they're made in the U.S., but they are made with malted barley like a Scotch. Many of the American single malts are not smoky. People hear Scotch, immediately they think Lagavulin and they think smoke, they think peat. But most of the American single malts that I've tried are not peated, so there's not going to be a hint of smoke in something like this Virginia Distillery American Single Malt Blue Ridge Select. So this is aged for a period of time in uncharred oak and is then finished in toasted oak, and the oak comes from the Blue Ridge Mountains. So just like a toasted bourbon, you're going to get some of those nice toasted marshmallow notes, along with what I typically get from what I consider to be a good American single malt, is a nice, bright, fruity, tropical fruit, sometimes like an apricot note. Now, it's not for everybody. There are people that just bourbon drinkers that just don't like this stuff. But I think if you do have a little bit of an adventurous palate, these American single malts I think they're absolutely delicious. They're different. They have tons of flavor. Typically, something like this Virginia Distillery line comes in at under $50. Sometimes on sale, you can find these for under 40. And I think that these are an absolutely great way to expand your collection, expand your palate, but still kind of staying within that barrel-aged spirit, kind of realm. So that's one. Now, if you are a Scotch lover, you can also consider something like the Stranahan's, which sherry cask. So this is finished in sherry, like a lot of Scotches are, like maybe like a Macallan. And I think that this Stranahan's sherry cask is one of the best things out there. The sherry gives it a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of nuttiness. By the way, like if you've had sherry finished spirits before, but you haven't actually tried sherry, you really should go out and get yourself a bottle of sherry, because once you do that, you really be able to pick out that kind of spicy, nutty kind of thing that the sherry adds. And I think the sherry finish is a perfect complement to those fruity notes of the American single malt. Also with American single malts, you get kind of these chocolatey notes too. Kind of think about like Guinness, right? Guinness is made from malted barley also. So not that this tastes like Guinness, but there's just that richness that you get from the malted barley. And again, the sherry is an excellent finish. Now, if you're into high proof, you only like high proof, you don't like anything lower, and I get it, that's fine. There are some cask strength finishes out there, like this Stranahan's cask strength single barrel. This one comes in at 119 proof. Stranahan's out of Colorado produces really, really tasty American single malts. And let's say compared to something like the Virginia Distillery, I find, again, with the exception of the sherry, which sweetens it up, I find that Stranahan's tends to be a little bit more towards that oak profile, and a little bit less sweet. And I think that for that hesitant bourbon drinker, I think that Stranahan's, either the cask strength or the standard issue, they also make a bottle called Blue Peak. It comes with a blue label, again, under $50. I think that those are really kind of like close to what a bourbon drinker experience would be. A little bit more oak, a little bit less on that fruity side. So that's another one to try. But the Stranahan's, these single barrels they're absolute bangers. They come with these great tops too. It looks great on your bar, and they taste delicious. So that's just a couple of examples of things that I think are fun to try, just to step out of the same old, same old. You got bourbon, you got rye, and at some point, they start to taste similar. Not that there aren't differences, but to me, bourbons are a pretty tight category. The same thing with rye. So things like the Armagnac and the tequila and the American single malts are things that I think will help to expand your palate. It's something that you can enjoy with your friends, and I hope you enjoy them. So give them a try. And let me know in the comments if there's anything else that you think would be good for a bourbon drinker to maybe step out. Let me know in the comments. And as always, I appreciate you. Please subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.